I never imagined a simple pink plastic plate could be weaponized until the day my mother-in-law, Linda Matthews, proved me wrong. It was astonishing how something so seemingly innocent could wound so deeply without leaving a single mark. Looking back, the first sign should have been when Linda insisted on hosting Thanksgiving this year. In all 5 years of my marriage, she had never once welcomed me into her home voluntarily, let alone offered to prepare a meal including me. Maybe she's trying to make amends, my husband Michael had suggested with hopeful eyes when the invitation arrived. His optimism was touching but painfully naive. I had known Linda long enough to understand that kindness from her always came with a hidden agenda. Still, I agreed to attend, partly to honor Michael's hope, and partly because I was weary of being labeled the difficult daughter-in-law who avoided family gatherings. So there we were, driving up the long cobblestone driveway toward the sprawling Victorian estate that had belonged to the Matthews family for generations. The house loomed like a fortress of judgment and tradition. "Remember," Michael whispered, squeezing my hand, "Mom's making an effort. Let's just have one calm Thanksgiving." "Calm," I muttered under my breath, clutching the bourbon pecan pie I had baked for hours. If Linda truly wanted peace, I could endure a few hours of polite company. Inside, the house buzzed with activity. Michael's sister, Emma, and her husband chased their 3 sugar-charged children down the hallways. His brother Tom had brought a new girlfriend. Linda's sister, Carol, my least favorite aunt-in-law, commanded the living room with a wine glass in hand, loudly speculating about when Michael and I would bless Linda with grandchildren. "Michael dear," Linda exclaimed, approaching with arms wide, her pearls glinting against her autumn sweater. She embraced her son in a way that could have been choreographed for awards, completely ignoring me. At last her gaze landed on me, offering a smile as thin as rice paper. "Oh, Sarah," she said, eyes flicking to the pie I carried. "How thoughtful of you to bring dessert. I'll just put it with the other pies." And before I could respond, she whisked it away, disappearing into the kitchen. I inhaled deeply. "You've got this, Sarah. Just one meal," I whispered to myself. Michael was already swept into conversation with his siblings, his laughter echoing through the house. I lingered on the periphery, feeling like a spectator in someone else's drama, always observing, never part of the scene. Then Carol appeared, her smile hiding 1,000 sharp edges. "You know," she said, voice syrupy, "my neighbor's daughter swears by this amazing fertility tea. I should go help Linda." I interrupted quickly, desperate for escape. Nothing would keep me here longer than this conversation. In the kitchen, the aroma of roasting turkey and vegetables was intoxicating. Linda stood at the counter, basting the bird with meticulous precision. "I've got it all under control," she said without looking up. "Why don't you set the table? The plates are ready." Grateful for a straightforward task, I walked into the dining room and froze. Every place setting gleamed with Linda's cherished Royal Dalton china, polished to perfection. Every setting except mine. At the far end of the table where I always sat, lay a bright pink plastic children's plate adorned with cartoon animals. My throat went dry as heat rose to my face. This wasn't an accident. It was a calculated, cruel message. "Oh, you found your plate." Linda's voice dripped with feigned sweetness. "I thought it suited you perfectly, considering your childlike approach to starting a family." The words hit like shards of glass. I forced myself to breathe to remain calm. "Linda, you have no idea why Michael and I haven't had children yet," I said softly. "I know enough," she snapped, her sweetness evaporating. "My son would be a wonderful father. So if there's a problem, it's clearly yours. Too focused on work, too selfish, maybe even too broken." Each accusation struck me, but I refused to cry. Instead, I reached into my purse, fingers brushing against an envelope I had carried for weeks. "You're right about one thing, Linda," I said, pulling it out. "There is a medical reason Michael and I haven't had children yet. Want to know what it is?" Her eyes narrowed, ready to retort, but Michael's voice called from the living room. "Mom, is dinner ready? We're starving." Linda's mask returned instantly. "Coming, darling," she sang sweetly, turning to me with a sharp whisper. "Put that away. It's Thanksgiving. Don't ruin it with your dramatics." She swept out, leaving me trembling but resolute. She had no idea this envelope carried the truth, the kind that could shatter every false assumption she had ever held about me. When the family gathered around the table, the chatter was loud, the smell of roasted turkey thick in the air. Michael sat beside me, finally noticing the absurd pink plate. His brow furrowed in confusion. "Mom," he asked as Linda carried the turkey like a trophy, "what's with Sarah's plate?" "Oh," Linda replied with a venomous smile. "I thought this would be more age-appropriate for her, since she's not ready for adult responsibilities." The laughter died instantly, even the children fell silent. Michael's jaw tightened, a storm of emotion in his eyes, torn between defending me and avoiding conflict with his mother. I wasn't afraid anymore. Calmly, I held up the envelope. "Actually, Linda," I said, voice steady, "it's time everyone knows the real reason Michael and I don't have children yet." "Sarah," Michael whispered, placing a hand over mine. "Maybe we should wait," Michael murmured. "No, not another second," I replied firmly. "Your mother has tormented me for years, blaming me for something I had no part in, and always in front of everyone. I think tonight, of all nights, is the perfect time for the truth to come out." Linda tightened her grip on the serving tray. "No one wants to hear your excuses at dinner," she hissed. "These aren't excuses," I said, slowly holding up the envelope. "These are medical records from your son's fertility specialist." A heavy silence fell over the room. The old clock in the hallway seemed louder than ever. For the first time in all our years, I saw fear flicker in Linda's eyes. "Michael," she whispered, "are you really going to let her humiliate you here?" Michael met her gaze, then mine. Finally, in a calm, steady voice, he said, "Mom, it's time you knew the truth. We tried to tell you before, but you refused to listen." I took a steadying breath and unfolded the documents. 3 years ago, I began, my voice unwavering. We started trying to have a child. Nothing happened. After a year, we sought medical help. Do you want to know what we discovered, Linda? The room was completely still. Even Carol leaned forward, curiosity replacing her usual smirk. I held Linda's gaze as I spoke the truth that would shatter her carefully maintained control. Your perfect, fertile son, Michael, has a condition called azoospermia. It means he produces no sperm, none at all. Zero. For years we've faced this challenge together, seeking treatments and exploring options, while you spent your time criticizing me, mocking my body and making cruel remarks in front of everyone. Linda's face went from flushed to pale. The tray in her hands wobbled precariously. That can't be true," she stammered. "Our family has always been fertile." I finished for her. "These are the test results. Would you like to see them?" The doctor had noted it was likely a genetic condition passed through the maternal line. The tray slipped from Linda's hands, and Michael leapt forward, catching it just before it hit the expensive rug. The clatter broke the spell of silence. "Oh my God, Mom," Emma whispered, her face pale. "All these years you've been cruel to Sarah, and it was something I passed to my son." Linda sank into her chair, her perfect host image crumbling. "Why didn't you tell me?" "We tried," Michael said, gently setting the tray on the table. "Remember last Christmas? Emma's birthday in March? June, when we stopped by. Every time we tried, you dismissed us or launched into another attack." I pulled out a small notebook. I wrote down every cutting comment, every helpful gift, every cruel remark about my body or our family planning. "Do you want to hear what you said at Easter dinner?" Tears streamed down Linda's cheeks, smudging her makeup. The children watched, wide-eyed, as the grandmother they knew disintegrated before them. I need a moment," Linda muttered, pushing back from the table, almost tipping her chair. The sound of her heels clicking echoed as she stormed upstairs, slamming her door behind her. "Well," Carol said nervously into the silence, "I guess we should say grace." Tom's girlfriend giggled nervously, setting off Emma's kids, and the tension began to fade. Michael's father quietly went upstairs to check on Linda. I looked down at the pink plastic plate in my hand and felt years of weight lift from my shoulders. 3 years of accusations and blame had been wiped away by a single envelope. The rest of the evening passed in a blur of strained small talk and polite attempts at normalcy. Linda never returned. Her husband brought her a plate, but his grim expression said it all. When Carol asked how she was, he simply lifted my plate, no longer carrying the sting of the intended insult. Michael kept his hand on my knee under the table, a silent reassurance worth more than any words. As guests began to make excuses to leave early, Emma pulled me aside in the kitchen. "I'm so sorry, Sarah," she whispered, glancing at the stairs. "I should have stood up for you all these years. I never wanted to cross my mother." I managed a small smile. "I understand. She can be intimidating. What you've been through, the treatments, the setbacks, and your mom making it even harder, must have been unbearable." Before I could respond, footsteps echoed from the stairs. Linda appeared in the doorway, her face bare of makeup, looking older and smaller than I had ever seen her. "Sarah," she said softly, "can we talk?" Emma squeezed my hand and quietly slipped out, leaving me alone with my mother-in-law. Linda moved to the kitchen counter and picked up the pink plate I'd left there. "I bought this to hurt you," she admitted, turning it over in her hands. "I spent weeks scheming how to embarrass you at Thanksgiving, convinced I was protecting my son's honor. But I never realized that my actions were actually hurting him too." Her voice faltered. "I've failed both of you." She placed the plate down, hands trembling. "All these years I wasn't there for my own son. I made everything worse. I thought I knew you, but I didn't. Michael wanted to tell me from the start, but I couldn't hear it. I was too blind to see the real him, the real you." For a moment, silence fell between us, the weight of years of tension shifting into something fragile. Maybe not forgiveness, but understanding. "Are you still moving forward?" she asked. "We are," I replied. "IVF with a donor, maybe adoption. We're taking it step by step." Linda nodded slowly. "Whatever you choose, whatever you need, I want to be there. I don't deserve a place after how I've acted, but if you let me, I want to support you both this time." Michael's voice came from the doorway, startling us. "We'd like that, Mom. But things have to be different." Linda turned to him, and for the first time I saw her really see him. Not the perfect son in her imagination, but the man he had become. "I understand, sweetheart. Things will be different. I promise." 2 months later, we were in a fertility clinic again. This time Linda was with us. She held my hand as the doctor explained our options, asked thoughtful questions, and didn't mention the Matthews family legacy once. When we left, she handed me a small gift bag. "I got you something," she said. Inside, the pink plate lay broken into pieces. "I'm dividing the heirlooms fairly among all my children," she explained. "No more holding them hostage for grandchildren. No more conditions for being part of this family." I watched Michael exhale, tension leaving his body for the first time in years. "Thanks, Mom," he said quietly. That night, as we prepared for bed, Michael lingered by our fertility calendar. "Funny," he said. "For years I was terrified of disappointing her. But now I can just be myself." I wrapped my arms around him. "It only took one envelope and one brave wife standing up to the dragon," I teased gently. Michael smiled, at peace in a way I hadn't seen for years. I thought about Linda, and how the strongest people are sometimes the ones who struggle most to admit they were wrong. I thought about family, not built on perfect genetics or fragile heirlooms, but on love, empathy, and forgiveness. "By the way," I said, "your mom wants us for Christmas dinner. Are you ready?" He laughed. "I think I am. She promised to use paper plates this year. Starting fresh, making new traditions." We laughed together, the sound filling our home. A home that would one day be filled with children, surrounded by a family that had finally learned that love has no conditions, and healing can begin with something as simple as a broken plate and a willingness to change.